Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is Marilyn Shannon, and I'm so happy to have you all here tonight. Tonight is a special night, and before I go on, I want to say hello to Amnon. So everybody
Hello,
can
Marilyn.
see Amnon. Hey. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Good. Welcome.
Welcome to you.
Thank you very much.
How was your week?
Great. How was yours?
So far, great.
And how was your holiday?
Great.
Great.
Oh, yeah.
Great. Good. Mine was great, too. A
Another
lot of
year.
family, friends, yeah?
Another year.
Another year. So I have a quote that I want to read to kick off tonight, and I have to say that my guest tonight has touched my heart in so many ways I can't even begin to tell you. And I have a box of tissues here because, honestly, I've never really met this woman, but we've chatted on and off for years. And she told me her story, and it just always stayed with me. And when I started the show, I used to carry around this envelope that she sent me with a note and with some pictures. And I used to say, okay, I'm going to call Kim, and she's going to be on my show. And tonight, I feel so happy to have this wonderful woman here. And I'm going to start with this quote. And the quote is right off of her site. And I whispered to the horse, trust no man in whose eyes you don't see yourself as an equal. Don Vincenzo Globi, and I hope I pronounced that last name right. And before I introduce Kim to you all this evening, I'm going to ask Amnon to play a little video that is going to just depict a little bit of her.
When you looked at Gray in the stall, you would walk right past him. You would never consider him to be a horse that had any potential to do anything at all. He had a long neck, he had a long back, and he just looked like somebody's farm horse. But when you got him under saddle and you sat on him and he knew it was time to work, then he transformed. I knew that he could jump height because nothing would hold him in. I knew he could jump width also because nothing would hold him in. And I knew that he was maybe not the most coordinated horse under saddle, but by God, the horse could move on the ground, on his own. If you have a will, there's a way. And both Gray and I were unlikely candidates, but we made it happen. And because of the love of the game, we made it happen. The second I picked up the reins and established a real contact, then he would turn on his Superman. He would put his Superman cape on. His biggest lesson to me was how to transform fear into trust through love.
Was that not just beautiful? Did that not just take your breath away when that horse just climbed that thing? It did me every time I watch it, and I watch it several times. So Kim Walnes is a dear woman. She's a competitor. She's a fabulous soul, and she has just a remarkable story to share. She and the Gray were on this winning team from 1980 to 1986, and they were at one time, I think, third in the world. They were a great couple, and she did some remarkable things. She traveled around the world, and that horse just taught her so much and taught me so much. I feel like I even know him now. And with that, I really want to introduce Kim to you because it's really all of this is better coming out of her than coming out of me. So Kim, welcome.
Thank you, Marilyn. I'm honored to be here.
Well, I am just honored to have you here. And so you live now where?
I live in Quakertown, Pennsylvania. It's near Philadelphia.
Okay, and now you have Gideon.
I have Gideon Goodhart, yes.
Gideon Goodhart, who is a descendant from Gray, right?
Well, not from Gray specifically,
Okay.
but from Gray's sire. So Gray was like a grand uncle.
Okay, terrific.
Gray taught him.
Okay,
Yeah.
and
He was
you,
his-
so you So just a little bit about what you've done as far as riding in this competitive and this competition. What exactly was that?
The 3-day event?
Yes.
The
The
competition.
3-day event, yes.
Yes. So the part that they showed there were some still photos of the dressage. But this is, it was a competition. It has been modified now. It's not exactly the same as it was back when I was doing it. But back in the day, it's a military test, and they still do this. There's 3 days. The reason why it's called a 3-day event is the first day you do dressage, which is very similar to the compulsory figures and figure skating. Everybody does the same pattern, and they're judged on how well the horse moves and how well they perform the patterns. The second day is called cross country now. In my day, it was called speed and endurance, because this is a military test. And that first day with the compulsory figures, that showed that the horse was obedient on the parade ground. The second day was meant to simulate battlefield conditions. So it was a lot of trotting, like about 20 miles of trotting. It was an endurance test. Both myself and the horse had to be very fit. I could see the fences beforehand. I plotted out my strategy and my course, but the horse never saw the jumps. He never saw them before we came to them. And so the horse had to be incredibly trusting and bold. You had to have a real partnership in place to jump these fences, because they're solid. And if the horse hits those, then you and the horse come down. It's not very pretty.
So it's like a triathlon, I read. Is that right?
It is very much like a triathlon, yes.
Okay.
And then the third day is show jumping. And
Okay.
that's just to prove that the horse is still fit to continue once he's been over that grueling cross country.
So this was a huge, big deal. And this was what year did you get Gray?
Let me see, 73. We bought Gray in 76. I started riding him in 75. I rode him a year before I actually bought him, because he was a mess. He was really he was a mess. And I used to come home and say to my husband, "Oh, I feel so sorry for whoever buys this horse. He's just awful." But we formed a partnership in that year that I rode him, training him for the stable, and I decided I would buy him.
He was awful. In what way was he awful? Let me establish that first.
I'll tell you. He comes from a line of horses that are very opinionated. They're thoroughbred horses, Bold Ruler line, and they're very opinionated. And if you don't listen to them with kindness and respect, then by God, they'll teach you respect or do their best to do it in their own way. So he wasn't being given respect there in Ireland, and so before I started working with him, and so he bit and he kicked and he threw everybody off and he bolted off. He would just run. He could run and buck at the same time, which is kind of talented. And it was really my daughter, who was only 2 years old when I started riding Gray. He loved anything baby, kittens, puppies, humans. It didn't matter. He loved anything that was babies. So my daughter, Andy, won his heart. And because I came with her all the time, he had to accept me with her. And so he gradually began to transfer his trust to me. And I listened to him, which nobody else had done up to that point, and worked with him in ways that were different than the normal training that was being done.
And how do you listen? When you say listen, how do you listen to a horse, and what are you listening for?
Well, horses speak to us in many ways. They can speak to us through body language, with their ears and their, their teeth and their tail and their just the tension of their body and the way they carry it. They can speak to us in the way they carry themselves. Gray was very clear. If he didn't like something, he either threw you and took off. That was very clear. Or if I was on the ground with him, he would get aggressive, or he'd get tense, or he'd get frightened, or something. If I was doing something that upset him, he made it very clear that that was not okay. So I began to look for ways that weren't upsetting to Gray, ways that helped him feel more confident and build confidence. Gray was a horse that had been taught he was a failure and no good and awful. He had no self-esteem and he had zero self-confidence. He was very uncoordinated as a young horse. So I embarked on a program to build his self-esteem, which I would say I massively succeeded in that.
I would say you did.
Yes.
I would say you did.
you had to pay him homage when you came in the barn. If you didn't pay him homage by addressing him and giving him a peppermint, then he wasn't going to talk to you the rest of the day. That was from everybody. And built his self-confidence through various techniques, working with other people that were cutting edge at that time, that were considered kind of woo-woo and weird, but it sure worked for Gray, and anything that worked, I was all over that.
So when you finally did help him establish self-esteem, what did that look like?
Oh, then he began to thrive, and he really enjoyed doing the work, and all this time that I wrote him and other people wrote him, he was just like, I hate humans, I don't like doing anything with humans, I don't like being ridden. But the first time I took him over a cross-country course, which was in Ireland, by the third fence, he was looking for the flags. He loved cross-country. That was his niche in life. He adored it. He lived to do it. So that started building up his esteem as he learned that he could do more and more things that he thought he couldn't do. Then he started to say, I can listen to her, and if she says I can do that, then I can do it.
And he could fly.
He could fly. I've never been on another horse with his power and his thrust and his ability to stay in the air for a long time. It was quite a feeling.
What does that feel like? I mean, I tried to imagine it today when I was reading some of the things about you and Gray, and I tried to imagine what it could be feeling like to be on this powerful animal, powerful energy, and just flying. I mean,
flying. He was very comfortable, Marilyn. I mean, he didn't jar you any. Some horses jar you a bit, or they have so much power that they thrust you out of the saddle, and you really have to hang on so you don't get jumped out of the tack, as we say in the horse world. But Gray wasn't like that. He had this amazing efficiency in his movement, and he could just, when he pushed off over a big fence, and sometimes there would be a jump that we call ski ramps, which are sloping fences set on the very edge of a hill, so you're literally jumping into space. The horse has no idea where he's going to land. It's a real trust question. And all the other horses would jump that really short, or they tried to run up the fence and look over. Gray loved to take off further back than he even needed to and soar. He just loved to soar. And sitting on that, trying to find words for that is difficult, but it was empowering, enlightening, and very freeing. Very freeing.
and now you have Gideon.
Yes.
And Gideon, he has a different message.
Yes, Gideon is different. I kind of say that Gray was sort of a vehicle for the message that we shared, in that he took me to fame and he got me in the public eye, and other people started to say, well, gee, if she can do it with little children, maybe I can do it with little children. And if she can get there living in the boondocks, maybe I can get there living
when
in
you
the
say if get there, meaning what does that mean?
On the team.
On the team,
on the United
okay.
States Equestrian team. I apologize.
Okay.
And then, I mean, I didn't have any of the qualifications to be on the team, but I had this amazing horse, and in order to get them, they had to take me.
So you did not do this kind of writing and this kind of stuff before?
No.
So when you found him in Ireland, he was a sight for sore eyes, sort of, kind of.
There was a real recognition when I first saw him.
So were you just riding then, just like a normal person would ride? Or were you still doing some extraordinary things?
Well, I wasn't competing. I had worked with some pony clubbers as an instructor, and I was doing fox hunting over there in Ireland, but I had never done an event in my life until I got the Grey Goose. We did our first event together, and I think I walked the course 6 times and needed the bathroom a lot that day. I was terrified.
So you did something really like out of the box for yourself to compete.
Yes, yeah. It had been my dream all along. But when my daughter was born, I didn't know that those hormones that kick in, when you're a young mother, they kick in like, don't go out and do something dangerous. That's stupid. Who's going to take care of your child? So all of a sudden I experienced fear where I had not experienced fear before. So I had to work through that all through my career. I had to work through that fear.
So working through it, so being this person then rose to fame, other people got to see you work through your fear and rise to fame on this magnificent animal.
Exactly. And Gideon, on the other hand, I feel like I'm his vehicle. I'm the one that's giving his message to the world. Gideon is a healer. He was born that way. I was present when he was born, and he wasn't even all the way out of his mom. And she kind of took a break, and I had cleared the sac out of his little nostrils so he could breathe. And he picked his little wet head up, and he looked me right in the eyes, and I heard a voice in my head say, "I'm here, and I'm here for you." And it freaked me out pretty big time. And he doesn't talk in people's heads very often, but he has the capacity to do so. And he makes his message very clear as well. But his real gift, like Gray's, was to run and jump and be this amazing, inspirational being. And Gideon's gift is to emotionally heal humans.
Well, I think we have a caller. So, hello? Somebody there?
It's Marilyn, it's Olga.
Hey, Olga.
How are you?
Ooh, I'm great. Long time no talk.
I know. I finally got on. I'm driving home, but I got the phone number, and I thought, well, at least I'll be able to hop on for a little while.
Good. So have you been listening to Kim?
I just got on, Marilyn, but I will tell you that I've done coaching with horses, so I believe in it, and I think it's wonderful. So I'm looking forward to hearing her.
Terrific. Well, she's doing a lot of coaching, and those horses coached her too.
Yes.
Listen, I don't know. That horse that got me helped me a lot in life.
Good. Well, we're so happy to have you back.
Thank you. I'm hoping to be able to be back more regularly.
Okay, good. And we'll talk about, maybe you come and talk about your story.
All right. Sounds good.
All right, honey. Thanks.
Thank you, Marilyn.
You can stay on if you want.
I'm planning on it.
All right, good. So I wanted to ask, did you have a question for Kim at all, Olga?
Not yet. I mean,
Okay.
I'm going to listen, and like I said, I just came in, so I have no idea what you guys have talked about or anything.
Okay, well, she's had these great horses, and she's talking about it, and I'm going to ask her a question right now about what these horses have meant to her, because she had, they've carried her through, I would say. Right, Kim?
Oh, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
let's talk about your family.
Okay.
So
Well-
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, well, you go. You know what I'm going to ask, so you go right ahead.
Yeah, I do know what you're going to ask. So, what Marilyn is alluding to, I had two children. I had my daughter Andy that I've mentioned, and she was 3 months old when we moved to Ireland. And 5.5 years later, Brian came along. So Andy was like my soulmate right from the very beginning, right from pregnancy. Andy was like my soulmate, and we got along really well. She was a wonderful kid, very into the horses. She was actually riding and jumping when she was only 2 years old. We couldn't keep her off the horses, the ponies. And Brian was the opposite. He was into cats, not horses. And that's okay. They're very different. But Andy evented also, and she was in college and studying to do physical therapy type work, and we were going to work together and everything. But at 18, after her first year of college, she was abducted and missing for 4 months. And thank God, her bones were found by a hunter out in the woods. Otherwise, we would have no resolution to what happened to Andy. And so the horses really helped get me through those times, which were beyond words to say awful. It was pretty bad. I came very close to breaking then. In fact, I think I did. But I came back from it through Andy's help and through the horses' help.
So that was in 1991.
Yes.
And Gray, you put Gray down at 2000.
Yes.
And you got Gideon when?
Well, Gideon was born in 1993.
So did you
So
have...
I bred his mother.
Okay.
Yes.
So how did the horses help you? How did they carry you through?
Horses have this presence. They're so connected to both spirit and this plane. They're very grounded. So if you're feeling out of control, as long as you're honest with a horse, they will really help you through something. I mean, if you're trying to hide it and say, oh, I'm not sad, I'm not upset, I'm not fearful, I'm not whatever, then that makes a horse really nervous, because their life literally depends on each herd member being honest about what their capabilities are. Because if horses just don't lie. They just don't. So when a human is lying, even if it's to themselves, it makes a horse very nervous. So I had learned to be honest with the horses, and I would go to Gray, and I would cry. He wasn't good with me hugging him and crying. He'd be like, go see the pony, he's better with that. But he would hang with me. And just his simple, compassionate presence, without words, was soothing. I think that would be the word I would use. It was soothing. It was like a balm for my soul.
Wow. And how did the horse react? I mean, the horse grew up with Andy as well. Didn't Gray?
Yes, Gray did grow up with Andy. Horses, most animals, I think, all the ones I run into, are very much more pragmatic about death. To them, it's not a sorrowful thing. It's, they can miss a companion animal. They can grieve for them. But Andy's death was different. I knew, even though she was missing for 4 months and everybody was hopeful that someday the phone was going to ring and she'd be on the other end of it, I knew she was dead. I knew something horrible had happened before I even got the message a day later that she was missing. And I knew she was dead. And my really good friend that she'd been my working student live-in, so she'd been like a second mother to Andy. She said to me, Kim, Andy came to me last night. I actually saw her. And she told me that she was no longer on this plane, but she was very happy where she was. And Andy wrote a poem 6 weeks before she died, explaining about how it was a poem that just said that freedom was what she was looking for, and that she trusted God to lead her in a direction that would lead toward her freedom. And that also helped keep me sane. So I knew from Andy that she was where she wanted to be, and I had to buck up, that this was all about me. It wasn't about her. It was about me. And Gray helped me buck up. He helped me be strong, and we just went for gentle rides. I didn't do anything fancy with him in fact, I just gave up competition. I couldn't deal with any form of stress after that for a long time.
Mm-hmm. It just, you have, I don't even know, I can't even imagine. But I don't know if another human could have been as comforting or as supportive as Gray was.
I agree.
And I don't know why I'm even saying that. So why do you agree? Because I have no idea where that's coming from inside of me.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm just saying it. I don't know why. So why? Why am I saying it?
Well, because it's a truth. Animals know how to hold a space. They know how to hold the space. Whereas most humans want to talk, they want to analyze, they want to do something to make you feel better. None of that. I mean, when you have something of that magnitude, nothing's going to make it better. You just have to survive it and get through it and learn from it. And the horses can hold that space for us. Not only horses, but dogs, cats, birds. I've seen people who have a real connection with birds. The birds do it for them. They're just much more real. They're more in contact, and I think that's one of the things they do for us. They help bring us back to nature, that we tend to be so separated from nature anymore. We're often trained out of being our true selves. We don't know what we really feel. We try to make things all better. I mean, when people talk to me about grief, I say everybody's grief is unique and separate unto them. And you have to take the time it takes for you to work through your grieving process. So nobody can say, oh, it's been a year, you need to get over this now. It takes as long as it takes. It took me 3 to start to come out of it, and it took me another 5 to come even further out of it. And I didn't really, really come out of it totally until 2010.
Wow. And
That's a long time.
It's a long, well, I mean, we're just attaching a word to time, long. I mean,
Exactly.
who the heck knows? I mean, how would anybody, what is it, what's long, what's short? What is it?
Indeed.
And so I don't think anybody can place anything on it. I mean, this happened in 1991, so I think you're doing really well.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So did they ever find the person?
No.
Never.
No. It's a mystery, and I leave that in God's hands. That is, I have a strong spiritual background, and that has held me in good stead, and that's not up to me.
So you found a way to move forward, to cope, to have a life, to work through things, to support other people, to
Yes.
share your experience, to share this.
Yes.
And Andy, she does come and talk to you.
She does. I have a hard time hearing her. So sometimes other people will call me and say, Kim, Andy's trying to get in touch with you because I keep getting messages from her. Or how the ones we're closest to can be the hardest to hear sometimes.
Well, you have a big. We have somebody on the phone. Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, but if you're near your computer, you'll need to walk away because we're getting some other sound.
Okay, I'll step away from that.
Okay.
Let's see, is it better now?
Oh, much better.
Okay, good deal. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
I have a question for Kim. Hi, Kim. It's Hillary from Facebook. How are you?
Okay, you need Hillary. Is that Hillary? Is that who you are?
Yes.
Okay.
Hillary, yes.
Okay, sweetheart, you need to walk further away because we can hardly hear you.
Okay, I'm across the house from the computer.
Okay, is there anybody else in the room with you?
No, I'm
Okay.
all the way across from the house and don't have any technology. Would it be better to call from my landline?
No, just try. Go ahead now. Let's see. So, Hillary,
Okay,
welcome.
Okay, thank you. This is a question for Kim. Hi, Kim. I was calling to see, with everything that you've been through and with all your training that you continue to do and all your clinics and everything, how do you stay so grounded and find time for yourself? Because you give so much of yourself to other people.
Thank you, Hillary. I can do that because I do take time for myself. I've really had to learn. I went through the 80s being Superwoman. I was a mom and a trainer and an international level competitor and a wife and I did the parties and the whole 9 yards, and I just about killed myself. Burned out my adrenals and learned how to come back from that. I mean, adrenaline is a drug. It's like any other drug. You can get really hooked on it. So I was hooked. I was definitely an adrenaline junkie. And I had to learn to come off of that. So, I learned to meditate. And I learned to listen to my body when it says, I can't do this anymore. Because I used to make deals with my body. If you push through for me in this instance so that I can help somebody else or get this job done, then I'll give you a break. And I would always hold to those deals, but it just got to be too much as I've gotten older. So I've learned to take a rest and do what nourishes me. So sometimes I'll take 3 whole days and I'll just clear the books and say, this is my time, and I do whatever I need to do in that moment.
That's a great answer.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you for that, Kim. And
Absolutely.
I'll let other people call in and ask questions, but I hope everybody has a great night.
Hillary, thank you very, very much for giving us a call. So you're a friend of Kim's on Facebook?
Well, actually, yes, I met Kim via Facebook through a group that we're both a member of called Dressage for Adult Amateurs.
Okay.
And I have really gotten to really enjoy speaking with Kim. We have messaged each other back and forth. One of my dreams is to be able to attend the clinic with Kim one day because I've just found her to be such an inspiration and such a powerful motivator. And she's just, I really get good vibes from Kim. And I think if there were, if there are more trainers out there like her, it would go a long way to helping, horses and riders both.
Well, and I think that's a very good point. I think with Kim, with your background and the things that, have inspired you, that you come from a place to be able to, that you come from the level that you come from is so deep.
I just know what I have experienced, and I bring that to people. I speak from my own experience.
Right. So thank you, Hillary. I appreciate your calling very much.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks. Bye. So, and I want to just make a point of just commenting about what you said, that other people will contact you when Andy's trying to contact you. I think it's extraordinary to have such a circle. Such a circle.
I'm so blessed. I know people all over the world, actually, and Andy touched many hearts, not even beyond her death. She has touched hearts, people who never met her, but they see her picture and they say that they feel like they can feel her after that. Mm-hmm. So I know that she's working with me from the other side. I don't always know what's going on, but I trust that, and I just try to be a good legacy for Andy.
Mm-hmm. So these people that she is communicating with, are these people that she knew, or these are the people that saw her picture, read the story?
Both.
Both.
Mm-hmm.
Both. Well, that says a lot for the depth of the universe, doesn't it?
It sure does. When you hear that phrase, we are all one, as I've gotten older, I'll just speak from my own experiences. I've gotten older, I have come to understand that more and more, what that really means. We really are all connected. Nature's always giving us messages if we just stop and pay attention. Mm-hmm. That's part of what the horses do, too.
They do what?
To help us learn to stop and pay attention to our environment.
And how do they do that?
Well, horses are always in tune with their environment, and people are not. So if you're going to be a good leader for your horse, you have to be aware of what's going on. Horses always, I should back up. Horses, anytime a horse meets another horse or the human that's going to be working with it, the first question in their mind is, who's the leader? Who's the one that's watching out for the other one? Am I the protected or am I the protector? And by the way I behave, now I'm switching my pronouns here. As a human, the way I behave lets the horse know whether they can feel safe with me. Let me give you for instance. I can be paying attention to my horse and grooming him, and I expect my horse to be paying attention to me during that time and not looking around and seeing everything that's going on and unfocused. So I'm focused on him and he's focused on me. But then somebody comes down the aisle and starts talking to me, and I start talking to them. If I lose focus of my horse or what's going on in the environment, then my horse says, uh-oh, she's not paying attention. A predator could come along and we could get hurt. Or something else could happen. And so the horse then will take over. And they'll do things like walk into you or nudge you harshly or give you a little nip or step on your foot. They have very clear ways of communicating, as I said before. Yes. So you have to keep your awareness open. This is what they teach us. You can be focused on one thing. But as a mentor of mine once said, Sally Swift, she said, you have to have soft eyes, so that you're looking straight ahead at something, but your gaze is soft so that you're seeing everything in your peripheral vision as well and paying attention to that.
So it appears, because I'm not a horse, I have not been a horse person, but I'm mystified, I guess you can say, by the conversation and by just, tasting it through you. it appears that when you are in a relationship with a horse, you both have to be leaders. They don't allow you not to be a leader.
Right. Well,
right?
that's right. Because if you're not the leader, they'll take over the leadership. And we usually don't like that, because what they say is, well, let's say if like a lot of people will go to a horse show and they're afraid of failing, or they're afraid they'll forget what they're supposed to do, or they have all these things, anxiety comes up, performance anxiety. The horse doesn't know that's performance anxiety. He just knows that his leader is nervous. So if the leader isn't clear in the language and explains what's going on to the horse, then the horse will say, hold on, I'll get you out of here, and off they bolt.
So you take turns. You take turns.
You take turns in a true partnership, just
It's
like any partnership.
And that is, so this is very, very cool, because it would be great if we could mirror the relationship, right, that we're talking about between a horse and their rider or partner, because you take turns. It's not, I mean, you both have to be equal partners.
I consider that to be the truth. A lot of people don't consider that to be the truth in the horse world. They think the human has to be the dominating one and the horse has to be submissive. So it's really more like master-slave. But when you have a real partnership with a horse, I mean, Gray took over a few times on those cross-country courses. Like I said, jump here, and he said, no way, lady, no, we're jumping over here. And he saved my life by doing that, because where I wanted to jump turned out to be a bad spot, and somehow he read the terrain with his feet, and he knew that. So I had to trust him as much as he trusted me.
We have a question. Does it matter whether the horse or the master is male versus female?
Say that again, please.
Does it matter whether the horse or the master or the rider, you, is
Right.
male or versus female? Does any of that matter?
No. Partnership is partnership. So it can...
Okay. Partnership is partnership. So it doesn't matter one way or the other.
No, gender doesn't. I mean, a stallion has a lot more. There's a lot more to deal with a stallion, because you've got hormones. I mean, same thing with a mare. They have hormones. A gelding doesn't have the hormones to deal with, and that's why most people ride geldings.
Okay. She's okay. As far as the alpha is what she said. Now I'm not sure exactly what that means. You understand that question? No, I don't. Susiana, I don't understand that question. So if you're listening to me, you can clarify it a little bit. But when two horses meet and are determining, okay, does it matter who's the alpha when two horses meet? Is that what you're saying? I'm not sure. Is that what she's saying? Does it matter when two horses meet, or are they equal in the horse kingdom?
They have a little conversation within the first 30 seconds. They have that all sorted out, who's who. So if it's a stallion with a mare, then of course you've got hormones mixed in there with that. But otherwise, in the horse world, mares lead. The mares are the leaders. The stallions protect. That's their job. Their job is not to lead. They don't make the decisions. They protect. So most people, because of the movies, we see the stallion up on the hill and he leads the band away. No, that doesn't happen in real life. The mares are the lead mare is the one that makes the decisions. We will eat now, we will drink now. She takes care of the discipline in the herd, and the stallion will back her up if necessary.
That's very cool.
Yeah. But otherwise, I mean, a mare and a gelding, a little ponies will often dominate great big huge horses. It just is. It's really about personality.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Say what? Barefoot in the kitchen, Amnon said. Women rule. That's what, yeah, Denise on the chat says women rule. Mayor is the leader. Great. That's very interesting. So when you are working with people, what kinds of issues come up? What does somebody come to somebody like you to work with involving a horse?
Okay, I'm gonna back up to that last question very briefly. Horses aren't like dogs where it's alpha and beta. Horses look for a good leader. So there will often be a dominant horse in the field who's bossy, and will chase the other horses away from their food, and they make faces and they run them around, and everybody would say, oh, that's the alpha horse, that's the leader. No, 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 no. That's just the bossy horse. The real leader is a quiet one, the one that they feel safe with. So when you're talking about leadership with a horse, it's about providing a safe space, being honest, standing in your own authenticity and integrity, and really it all just boils back down to honesty again, showing that they can rely on you in a situation, that you will do your best to help them out.
Mm-hmm.
So to get to the second question, I'll give you a for instance. Multiple people have come to me with an issue of feeling like they want to be stronger in a relationship. They feel a little bit like a doormat. They're people. They understand that they're people pleasers, that they want people to like them, and so in order to do that, they'll do anything to make the other person happy, and they're miserable because they're not living their own life. So I always start a session. It's Gideon runs the session, and I'll have them hold his lead rope and look him in the eyes and tell him what they want from him. And so they'll say something like, Gideon, I'd really like for you to help me find my own, I'd like to be a stronger person. I would like to be able to stand up for my own truth. I would like to be able to speak my own truth and not feel fearful. So Gideon, who is a very polite horse, I mean, being a stallion, I've really taught him how to be very polite with people and how to be very careful around them. You know, he'll look at them and he'll often stand very close to them and just give them a sense of safety first. And then he'll give them a gentle nudge. And if they don't do anything, he'll give them a bigger nudge. And then he'll just out and out push them. And a lot of times the people are talking to me and they're not even noticing this is happening, and I have to point it out to them. And then I'll say to them, where else does this show up in your life that people are nudging and pushing you and you're not aware of it? And he gets them, I help them understand how to be different with Gideon, how to stand up for the, I'm using the wrong word, how to stand on their own 2 feet and be authentic in the moment and state. Gideon's very big on this. You must state what you need and not be fearful of backing that up. This is what I need. I need to stand away from me. I need you to give me a clear space. I need to feel like I have my own personal little buffer here. So once they do that, for some people, it takes a while to get there, to where they can actually stand up and say, I move away. Move away. I mean it. Move away. Then Gideon gets all lovey-dovey with them, and this is the first time they've experienced that, where they've actually stood up and been bold and stated their truth. With a human, that might get you a negative repercussion, but with a horse, it will always get you faith, trust, that feeling of bonding.
And just through that experience, someone with low self-esteem can gain confidence. They can
begin the journey.
Begin the journey.
It is a journey.
Because of a horse.
Mm-hmm. Because you can't argue with a horse. You can't. See, Gideon has very clear yes signals. He came up with these all on his own. So all horses will lick and chew. They do this they'll like that when they're happy, or they're thinking, or they're pondering on something. But Gideon has added a yawn. It's really his version of a smile. I think he noticed that people smile. You know, we show our teeth and we open our mouth. So he came up with a version of this that's separate from his normal yawn, and that's his yes signal. So when we're talking about things, the people and I, if they say something that's truth, or I say something that's truth, he will give that signal. You can't argue with that. It's there. And Gideon is a stallion, so he represents male energy. And so many women can't talk to men in an honest way. So, and like I said, he will push them into a place where they have to stand up for themselves.
And so when they do finally stand up to themselves with Gideon, with a horse, they can then mirror that in their life?
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. They can be, there's something it gives you a great deal of courage that you have communicated with a stallion. He's been giving you all this positive feedback, and by God, he he did what you asked him to do, and he loves you for it.
It must, I can't, I'm trying to imagine what it must feel like to be able to stand and have this communication going on that's so silent in some regards and yet so robust between this person, between you and Gideon or a horse. It's extraordinary.
It is extraordinary. It's miraculous, actually.
It really is.
I think I'm a life coach, so I'm a spiritual life coach, and I think the difference between life coaching and therapy is therapy tends to come from a premise that you're broken and you need fixing, and the therapist is going to help you get fixed and da-da. But in life coaching, the premise is you're never broken. You're still whole in there. You are still the divine being that you were born, and that all it takes is reaching back to the truth of that and then living that truth. And miracles happen all the time, and I'm humbled. I'm so humbled by working with the horses.
I just think it's so interesting that with having had the experience with Gray, and it does mystify me, and it is magical, that you would have that experience and then have the experience with Andy and her death, and to be able to communicate to this other realm. From your eyes, you must see something. I mean, you've got to see something different. Be privileged to something different.
I feel it. I don't see it. I feel it. Every now and again, I'll see a little glow around somebody or something. But I am an empath. It made my life very uncomfortable in school because I felt everything everybody else was feeling. And I had to learn how to tone that down a bit so that I could just be functional and not get
but you had to turn that down before the death of Andy, because if you didn't have that turned down before then, I don't know how you would have gotten out of bed.
You're right.
I mean, when you take a look, and I think everybody should kind of notice this in your own life and in other people's lives. Look at people and I can put Kim up there almost like this in the storyboard, and you can see all the parts of her life, whether from early on being an empath, and then all being a soulmate to her daughter, knowing it from inside, and all the things that went on from there. How divine is it? And didn't you tell me that Andy had let you know from an early age that she knew she was not going to live to a ripe old age?
Right. Yes, she did. When she was about 3, she pointed to an adult in the grocery store line and said, "Mommy, I will never be that old." And I just thought it was, to a small child, a middle-aged adult looks older. I thought that's what she meant. But no, she actually told me then that she was not going to survive to be a full adult. And in her memorial service, her college friends said that she told them she knew she would not live to be 20, and that she wanted to make sure that they passed some messages on if anything should happen to her. And one of my students a year later lost her son, who was a year older than Andy, and in his diaries that she went through, he too knew that he would not live to be a full adult. He was killed by a drunk driver. And he too, like Andy, helped a lot of people. He was very compassionate and helped a lot of folks. I think they're angels sent here, They're just special souls that come to help folks out.
You would have to be. And the fact that she, at the age of 3, was letting you know this. Mm-hmm. It was like she was preparing you for something that seemed to be destiny.
Yes.
Destiny. I read the poem also from the gentleman who didn't even know her well.
Oh, that's so special.
Could you tell everybody a little bit about that?
Do you want me to read it?
Sure.
Okay.
I think that would be just a beautiful tribute to your daughter.
I have to get it.
Okay, so we're going to give Kim a minute because she's not prepared to read this poem. But this young man, everybody, yeah, just a beautiful poem about this woman, this young woman.
This young man only knew her for 2 weeks, or maybe it was only a week. They went to when they were both. That was the year between senior year in high school and college, and they both took this course on selling knives door to door. These wonderful knives, and that's where he met her. That's the only place he ever met her, was in the course. But he came to her memorial service, and he had written this ode to Andy. I'll try to get through this. I knew her, but not well enough. Her big cheeks were like two worlds on her face, and in her eyes shone what this world could be like, happy and brilliant, hopeful, filled with optimistic dreams. She was an infection, spreading her smile to everyone's faces, simply by being what she wanted, by being an optimist, by being the flame that started many people's fires, by being Annie. I wanted so much to be like her, to take on her attitude about life and to embrace every person I meet with enthusiasm and love and show to them that I'm not afraid to be me. She taught me some of these things. It appears now that I've got to finish learning on my own. Though I don't know you well enough, I miss you, Andy, and I love you. May God take care of you. Amen. That was written by Billy Hotchkiss.
Oh, what an interesting world we live in, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
How people's paths come into being with each other. I mean, this young man that none of us, I don't know, maybe he is listening. And if you are listening, you're an extraordinary soul to have been able to express himself that way and be able to recognize the power of love like that, and not to be afraid of sharing it. I mean,
Indeed.
That's what this whole thing, that's what it's all about. I mean, here this woman is sharing this love that she has, and how beautiful you are, Kim.
Oh, thank you.
And how you have just been able to live a purposeful life.
That has been my intent, to live a purposeful life that might open doors for other people.
Well, I would say it has.
Thank you.
I would definitely say it has, and
I'd say, Marilyn, one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in life is that no act of kindness ever goes unnoticed. It has ramifications way beyond what we'll ever know. We don't even need to know. But just smiling at somebody, you have no idea what a difference that can make to someone, or mentioning somebody's pretty blouse or cool tie or whatever. I really make an effort to speak what is going through my mind when it's complimentary of someone, rather than just keeping it to myself.
You're a horse.
Yeah, I am, actually.
You're a horse.
I'm more horse than human. It took me a long time to learn how to be human.
Oh, I don't know. I think I might want to be a horse, too. And I think, do we have somebody on the line? Oh, Olga, you still here? No. Hello? Yeah. Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. I was just reminding me that you're still on the line.
Yeah, I'm listening, but now I'm home, so I've been watching on my laptop.
Okay, good. Quite extraordinary, huh?
It's gone just deep into my heart, and just I don't really have words. I mean, I've just been soaking it all in, and I admire you so much, Kim. I have so much admiration for you.
Yep, we all do.
It's wonderful that you work with the horses as well, Olga.
Well, yeah, I was just blessed to be able to participate in a workshop here it was in Raleigh, close to Durham, Shelley Whitehouse.
I don't know.
Yeah, I actually saw where you invited her, Marilyn, and I was hoping that she'd be involved. But anyway, I could feel the expansiveness of the horse and the groundedness, and I could just feel how big that heart is, that he can connect with other living beings from all different levels.
Very true.
Yeah. August, well put. And if Shelley is on, if Shelley, if you're listening, please feel free to call in. You have a lot of experience about some of what we're talking about, and we'd love to have you, chime in anytime. Anybody, 919-518-9773. I've been writing it on the chat, but if anybody is listening, please feel free. We have another couple of minutes, and would love to have you partake. So, Kim, what are your in kind of wrapping up, what would be some of your final messages to everyone that's listening, watching, to me personally?
To you personally.
Yeah. Well, I am everybody. Everybody's me. So, yeah.
We are all one, indeed. Yes. What one learns, it helps another. I think one of the, in working with the horses, one of the biggest things that comes to me is how we're trained out. We're born knowing the truth with a capital T. We're born connected to everything, and a lot of kids see and hear and feel things that they're trained out of seeing and feeling and hearing. We're so often taught by society not to honor our real feelings. You hear so often, "Oh, you don't really feel that. That's not truth." No, and we get talked out of knowing what we truly feel, and as we get further and further away from that, we put walls and blocks around our hearts and our guts, and our health begins to deteriorate. We're not happy. We don't know how to get out of it because we've lost the connection, and I'm saying connection with a capital C, to what is the truth of who we really are. And so to tune back into that, to stand in our truth, to discover, I think a lot of people from birth to 3 or 4, they are living their divine lives. And then they're trained out of it. And then when they hit their 40s, we have to call that midlife crisis, where it's like, oh my God, is this all there is in life? There has to be more. And I think we spend the next couple decades trying to get back what we knew when we were much younger. And as we do that, as we follow that process and start to listen to our inner guidance and really listen to that little inner voice, then life gets a whole lot better.
Kim, while I was listening to you talk about the truth and how prevalent it is and with the horses, I think that part of your being able to mourn and grieve and come through it was that you lived your truth through that. And you didn't, like you said in the beginning, nobody can tell you how long something should take. And I think that you were forced into living your truth.
Yes, I was. You're absolutely right. Mm-hmm.
And you went through it.
I did. I had to find who I was. I had created a whole persona for myself that was very not me, and I didn't know who I really was. And Andy's death really sent me down a very slippery, steep slope down into the depths where I could start to find start that discovery process.
Right.
And I'm much happier with myself now than I ever have been.
Well, you are a remarkable woman, and I know that everybody that's listening will be very different from this point forward, as far as speaking the truth, which is all about freedom. I mean, Kim, you were able to, you got free.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did break free.
You did break free, and you are a model for freedom. Because here again, just like you said, when you were in competition, if you can do it, other people can do it too.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Where there's a will, there's a way. And I know you said that multiple times during your days of competing.
Oh, that was my motto.
That was your motto.
I had 2. The other one was, why can't I have my cake and eat it too? I never understood that. Why can't I have my cake and eat it too? So
there you go.
Every time somebody said, you can't do both those things, I'd say, why not? Why can't I be a mother and an international competitor?
And you were.
So, yeah.
And you did it all.
Believe. Just believe. Believe in what your insides are telling you.
And you did it with grace. And with
Thank you.
and with Gray.
And with great grace, yeah.
So we're a little bit over. Just quickly, your website and how somebody can find you, and if coaching and motivational speaking, and your website.
All of that is on my website, which is thewayofthehorse.com.
You hear that?
Or my name, Kim Walness. It gets there either way.
And there's a lot written about her, so all you have to do is put her name in, and you'll get everything. There's a ton written about her and videos. Kim, I want to thank you so much for being my friend.
Oh, thank you, Marilyn. I've enjoyed this thoroughly. And thank you for all that you do for so many people and for showing, leading way and breaking free.
Well, thank you. And thank you all for being with us tonight. Amnon, thanks again for everything. Everybody in the chat, it's been wonderful having you here tonight, and we look forward to being here next week. It'll be another night different from the last night. Thank you all so much, and Kim, thank you.
Shine on.
Thank you. Likewise. Bye, everybody.
And I want to take the time here because I don't have it recorded. On Wednesday, it's 7:30 till 8:30. We have a new show right now that is about Vietnam, the lessons of Vietnam.
And so what will it be?
Done.
What will they do on this show?
They talk about Vietnam, what happened, when did it happen. It's just by veterans, for veterans, and for anybody else. These are veterans that travel around the country and teach.
Wow, beautiful.
So 7:30 till 8:30.
Wednesday night. Yep. Be sure to tune in to this channel right here to watch that show. That's great. Yep. Thank you. Everybody, take care. Bye.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Sundays 9 a.m. till noon. Carrie's Psychic Cafe with Carrie Silkowski, Sundays 8 till 9 p.m. Health Inn with Debbie Bruck, Mondays 11 a.m. till noon. Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Mondays 8 till 9 p.m. Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, Wednesdays 9 till 10 p.m. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by thatvidblasterguy.com, carolinaapparel.com, and deltaforce.net.